All right, man. Talk the talk. How y'all doing, man? What's good? What's good? Look, all right. So look, man. I seen this episode a couple of days ago, uh, from this guy, Charles Brown, and I want to talk about what he said because I think this is very important about content creation in the content creators media space. Me being an up and coming content creator is one of the greatest, you know what I'm saying? One of the greatest. I'm one of the greatest. You know what I mean? The king is one of the greatest, baby. You know? Gotta toot my own horn sometimes, you know what I mean? People don't understand how good I am. But anyway, I wanna shout him out. And I want to talk about something he talked about because I think this is very important. You know what I'm saying? Let me stop playing. This is very important because I think a lot of times people don't understand the other side of the conversation, and I want to speak on that. Before I get into that, I got to get a spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing if you're new here. Let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know to find the ones that just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content. Absolutely free, but if you want to leave a donation, link is in the description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the hidden gem. I went from 1,300 subscribers to 13, 14, 15, 16,000. And yes, I am the king of the north. Let me know what kingdom you from. You know what I'm saying? So look, man, we're going to get into this because this is important. And I think this is a good clip. Now, I'm not going to do the whole thing because it's pretty long, but I'm going to do a good portion of it. And then y'all can watch the rest on his channel. So let's get it. All right, look, so I drop episodes every day, except Saturday and Sundays. I try to drop at least 2 or 3, but I drop 3 episodes over here, Torture Talk, and Torture Talk After Hours. I drop 3 episodes every day. You know what I'm saying? Here it's 8, 12, and 6, 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, 6 at night, unless something happens and I can't. You know what I'm saying? Or YouTube pushes it out late. Torture Talk After Hours, it's 10 a.m., 4, then 8 at night. Sometimes the 8 at night one comes out a little bit later. I don't know why YouTube does this, but sometimes it comes out later. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I push it to the time and then it goes out later. But however time it comes out, just understand, just turn your notifications on if you don't want to miss the king, and make sure you tap in. Friday nights, I usually do a live, either Friday or Saturday nights, but I'm gonna try to do Friday. If I'm on OT, I'm not doing no live on OT, but I'll wait till I get back to the studio because I don't know how the Wi-Fi is where I be at. So, all right. So let's get to it, man. Let's do it.
What's the problem with hip-hop media? What up, where's your boy Charles Brown back again, talking facts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those cash apps to COBMG gang. Join that membership. I appreciate you. Listen, I got a short list of hip-hop media personality, and I want to talk about what I get hit with in my comments the most. Most people don't see all of my comments, but I see mostly all of my comments. And a lot of people come into the comments, and not just mine, other, dare I say, hip-hop media personalities. I don't consider myself hip-hop media, but some people do, right? So I got to go with that. And I put together a small list because the discussion is huge. And I want to have this discussion because in my comments, people say stuff like, why you keep doing stories on insert the artist, right? Drake. Why you keep doing stories on Kendrick? Ignore Kanye. Don't do those stories, right? Et cetera, et cetera. No matter who I do the story on, there's going to be somebody out here like, why are you covering this? Doesn't matter what it is, right? When I did my Buckshot Shorty story, some people were like, why are you covering this? Like, who cares? Like, so there's always somebody going to say, who cares, right? But at the same time, and anyone that does quote unquote hip hop media can attest, most of you guys gobble up those stories that you say you're tired of. Like,
now let me stop him there. He's 100% right. 100% correct when he says this. Because a lot of y'all out there, and yes, I'm talking to y'all. This episode is about y'all. Remember when I jumped out the window and I said I was wrong? And I came on here and said I was wrong. I'm talking to y'all today. Y'all wrong. Okay? Okay? You know how when your mom about to beat your ass and she go like this? Better get yourself right, boy. That's what I'm talking about. So look, he's absolutely correct. A lot of y'all always say to me, why are you talking about Drake? There's people that jump in the comments and say, bro, you got nothing else to talk about but Drake. That's all you talk about, right? And I say this, I talk about whatever I want to talk about. If it's Drake, I'm going to talk about Drake. If there's a story that I think is about Drake, I'm going to talk about Drake. If it's Kendrick, I'm going to talk about Kendrick. I don't always talk about Drake, but it just so happens that the timeline is filled with all of Drake's news because Drake keeps doing a lot of goofy stuff. And y'all do gobble it up. Y'all gobble it up. So if there's a story that comes out about Drake, this is what the people say to me. People would literally tag me and say, yo, bro, the Ville just dropped a video about Drake. And go check it out. Or if Drake drops a song, yo, Drake dropped a song, bro, you should react to it. People do this. Then you got people that say, I don't even know why you even talk about Drake. Don't talk about Drake no more. My thing is, I don't want to consider myself any type of media. I'm the king. I'm who I am. This is torture talk. I talk about whatever it comes across me and I want to talk about. So if I want to talk about this, I'm going to talk about that. Y'all actually y'all come here to see my take. So if you see the thumbnail and you don't like it, you don't have to watch the video. I'm just being honest. But most of the time, people like my take. So they do watch the video because they come here for me and my take, not for Drake, not for Kendrick. They want to see what I say about these people. Same thing. So if I turn around and do a video about this guy here, people are going to click the video and say, okay, what is he talking about this? But he's absolutely right. I think y'all need to be a little more, slow down a little bit. I mean, we work really hard. We work really hard for your one view. We do. Your one view, you. We work really hard for that one view. Unless you coming back and watching me 3 or 4 times. But we work very hard for that view. And y'all gotta slow down a little bit. Because a lot of y'all be over the top, man. Like for real. Y'all be over the top. I'll be like, God damn. But, you know, it comes with the territory. I have to say that.
I'm just going to be honest. Most people are looking for the most fascinating Drake thumbnail and headline so they can click it and watch it and get the information. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm trying to tell you is when you say, why do you keep doing these stories, but you gravitate, you're moving the needle toward those stories when hundreds of thousands of you are gravitating to that story, right? On one hand, everybody's sick of Drake, and here we are 11 months later, you still feverishly eating up every Drake headline like it's brand new inventory. This stuff is going on 10, 11 months. I think we're about to hit the 12th month of I think Like That came out this month last year. So we're about to do 12 months of this saga. I think it was April 19th, something like that. We're about to get the anniversary of Like That, which triggered this war.
Now, I will say this. It is, and I got a reason why I believe this is the way it is. The reason why this is such a big deal, because that beef between Kendrick and Drake was much bigger than people think and people want to acknowledge. Also, too, this is its own subgenre now. Kendrick and Drake, it's like its own soap opera because it's so many moving parts. This is going to go on for a long time. As long as Kendrick and Drake is in the music industry, this is going to go on for a long time because those two And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and this is the reason why I believe that this is the reason why it is what it is because this, in my opinion, was the first battle from this era that happened between two major stars, and nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? And they're still having a silent war in a way. That's why this content will never die, because everybody is still warring, even though these two dudes might not be directly warring. Even the fans are warring. So now you got people who are just going to listen to Kendrick and Drake. That's all they want to see and hear, because those 4 days and within last year in May 3rd, was it May 2nd, 3rd, 4th? Those were like one of the greatest days in hip hop history. You know what I'm saying? So people got to understand, this is the reason why you constantly get content and people gravitate towards it.
I want to talk about hip hop media. It's bigger than just that, right? But I want to talk about it as a whole. And I have a short list of who I consider hip hop media. I know you're going to say, Charles, you forgot some people. You forgot somebody. But this is a short list, right? And I know that there's more. But to get a small picture of the huge compass of what we call hip hop media, we have to understand where we start at, right? So this short list, if you're somebody who frequents YouTube a lot and you follow hip hop religiously and you know what stories resonate, this list will make some sense to you. So let me just start here. I'm going to say Curtis King, Rob Marksman, Chig Smooth, Say Cheese, Sway in the Morning, right? Rory and Maul, for what that's worth. No Life Shaq, yes, he's a reactor, but he does push hip hop, okay? And that's how vast this list is. You got reactors pushing the needle. What's my guy over here? Screwface John. He's pushing the needle of hip hop. Whether you like him or not, he informs you of hip hop, even when he's reacting to whatever song he's reacting to. FD Signifier. He does a vast variety of things, but he's pushing hip hop. That's hip hop media. Company Man, one of the most distinguished members in this whole situation. We got Wayno, right? You know Wayno, Deleted, Fantano, right? I know you have a love-hate relationship with Fantano, but you go right to them videos and you go skip all the way to the end to see if it's a like 6. Don't lie.
Bro, that is 100% facts. Yo, he hit that one on the head. Oh my God. Yo, that is 100% facts. I actually think Fantano was actually all right. You know what I'm saying? I don't dislike Anthony Fantano. I didn't like his take on certain things he said about Kendrick. But outside of that, that's what people do. Because I think Anthony Fantano has built he's kind of like Simon Cowell to me. It's kind of like people want to hear, because people like honesty. No matter how hard it is, people love honesty. They can say they hate it, but they love it because that's the first person they're going to go to, is that person, because they know he's going to be honest with them about at least his opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. But he's absolutely right about that. That's 100% facts.
Fantano, right? I know you have a love-hate relationship with Fantano, but you go right to them videos and you go skip all the way to the end to see if it's a like 6. Don't lie. You know you watch Fantano too. Art of Dialogue, who's come up, and I'm sure Vlad TV's on here. I'm sure Vlad would have a lot to say about Art of Dialogue because he feels he bit his style, but they're both important, right, in this hip-hop space. Joe Budden, for what it's worth, right? And this whole thing is going to make sense at some point. But this is what we're talking about. Academics, right? Adam 22, Trap Lord Ross, right? The Breakfast Club, right? Hot 97 with Ebro in them and all of that. And Angie Martinez, all of that comes under the umbrella of hip hop. Urban Politics, right? My guy over there, Urban Politics, doing this thing. And I know, like I said, I'm gonna miss some people. I don't know if I said Torre or not, and I don't know if I said Rapaholics, right? But I know I'm gonna miss some people. And I give you that. I understand. But that's just a tip of the iceberg of what we're calling hip hop media. Now, everybody on that list, if they were in this chat for some reason or another, they would all tell you that they have certain stories that they know aren't going to do well. Okay? Ever since Source Magazine started fighting for shelf space with Double XL magazine, this thing has turned into a competition for eyeballs. At one point,
That's another fact. That's another fact. Everybody out here is giving their take and their grind. The only thing I can tell people, that for all the people that are new in this space that is trying to do it, you just have to be original and do you. You know what I'm saying? I don't see nobody wearing a crown and shades. I don't. And I'm very hyper. I like to talk. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really do a lot of edits. And I speak how I feel. And I speak on, if I don't care if you are in the same space as me. If I feel as though that you're wrong about it, I'm gonna say you're wrong. In my opinion, you're wrong. I can still like you and disagree with you. I think a lot of people in this space, they go along with each other because they have no way of just basically disagreeing without feeling like they're an enemy. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel. But he's absolutely right about this. It's a competition of eyeballs. So you got to have something that people want to see. People are going to want to see. You know what I'm saying? And I feel really good that people come to my channel and they want to talk. They want to see what I have to say. I think that is very important. I am a very important space, a very important person in this space. People could say whatever they want about me. I don't care. I'm just saying I'm very important in this space. You know what I'm saying? And I know I am. I see people reacting to my videos all the time. I see people putting me in their thumbnails. I see people taking my thumbnails and putting it in their thumbnails. You know what I'm saying? And I have a very unique thumbnail because I'm in the thumbnail. So I see it. So I understand exactly what he's talking about.
in time, Source Magazine was the only game in town. They were competing against Right On Magazine, Vibe Magazine, like stuff that had no chance of beating them in their space. I'm just going to be honest. We used to have to, you waited for that Source Magazine. That was the Bible every month coming to your, if you got the subscription, some of us got the subscription, it's 12 months for her, $39, whatever it was, you would get it mailed to your house, right? Or you would go to the store like me. I bought it, let's be honest, you would buy it based on the cover, but you were going to buy the Source Magazine anyway. And at one point in time...
That's 100% facts. I'm going to tell y'all, when I was younger, the Source Magazine and Nintendo Power Magazine was my favorite magazines. I used to love Nintendo Power, and I used to love the Source Magazine. Source Magazine, I used to look on that page. How many mics did this album get? How many mics did that album get? And 5 mics. Oh man, the Source Magazine made rappers legends. I ain't going to lie to you. They made you or break you. If the Source said you had 2 mics, which I'm gonna tell you, I have the bias of the Source. The Source Magazine really did go by popularity in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, they used to give certain artists that had really good albums only 3.5 mics all the time. And I used to say to myself, how is it that they're giving this album 3.5 mics when this album is clearly better than this album? But they used to do that all the time because they went by popularity. You know what I'm saying? And certain albums got 5 mics. You know, I think Ready to Die, Life After Death got 5 mics. I think it was written got 5 mics. I think one of Most Def albums got 5 mics, I believe. I think Wu-Tang Forever got 5 mics. There's a couple of albums that got 5 mics, but anyway, that's just what I'm saying. So
Source Magazine was the game, right? Yeah, you could go watch Rap City, The Basement, or you could go watch MTV Raps, da-da-da. That show was only an hour, and they were cramming in so much nonsense, it wasn't that detailed. You were going to the Source, and they had everything. They had in-depth articles about people you wanted to know about. We learned about Cash Money's movement through the Source Magazine. We learned about No Limit through Source Magazine. We learned about Biggie and Tupac through Source Magazine. We learned about a lot of things through that book before Benzino messed it up. Now, I know a lot of you go back in time and they say, how you guys even trust a magazine that Benzino, but we didn't know he was a part of Source magazine until the writers in Source came out and rebelled against him, changing he changed his group's rating. I believe it was Made Men, and I think they gave them a three mics or something, and he changed it to 4, and it ruined the credibility. Because I'm sure when we opened that magazine and saw that Made Men, whatever, just be honest, whatever mics they had was not it. So we were like, how was this even 3? Like, and I'm sure
that was my point right there. I'm telling you, they used to do that. But I get what he's saying. But again, they used to do that. Like they gave, I think they gave Smith and Wesson 3.5 mics. Smith and Wesson album, I believe it was The Shining. I think it was 3.5 mics, and I was destroyed. I believe it was 3.5 mics. I'm not sure yet, but y'all can look it up. But I didn't like that. I didn't like the take.
The 4. So he kind of ruined the credibility of the Source, because a lot of the writers started to come out and verbally be against the magazine itself, and that was a turning point. We realized that this stuff isn't as pure as we thought. We used to take the mics at their word. I'm just going to be honest. Like, if Wu-Tang came out or Jizz's new album came out and the Source said 3.5, it was 3.5. And I know some of us was like, oh, I need another mic, but we didn't really. Most of the time, we accepted those mics, unless it was like egregious, like when they wouldn't give Outkast the 5 mics. Most of the time, I'm just gonna be honest, we accepted what the Source said as law, and the Source had no competition. And one day, I believe who was it? Was it Elliot Wilson that left the Source, and he ended up over at XXL magazine, and he started the drama. And what happened was, he started to come for their neck. No one had ever come for their neck. Whoever it was, I believe it was Elliot Wilson, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't mention him in the media, but he's a part of the hip hop media as well. And it was a problem. They started to fight for eyeballs. They started to engage in drama and beef. At one point, the Source was in a full-on war with Eminem. Once Benzino was outed as one of the owners of the Source, he became a full-on card-carrying Eminem hater. And he used the magazine's reach against Eminem, right? And it was a problem. And what had happened was XXL started to capitalize on any and every single type of issue that started to be a problem for Source magazine. XXL was right there to say, you ain't real. Y'all ain't real. He's all right, but he's not real, right? And XXL became real. And we started to lean toward XXL and Rap Pages and all these other books, right? And Source was fighting for shelf space. And that's when the tug of war with the media began. You started to have 2 books to choose from. They both expensive as fuck. Like, $6 is a lot of money, gang. I'm just gonna be honest, for a magazine. Or I think it was $8.99, something crazy like that. So yeah, we was like, yo, I'm not buying both these books, right? Just gonna be honest, I used to steal them both. I'm just gonna be honest, but at the same time, every now and then I would have to pay for them.
Bro. Come on, bro. I'll be honest with you. Me personally, I didn't think none of that stuff was expensive. I just thought that that's how much it was back then. I didn't really have a lot of money, but I just didn't think it was expensive. I didn't think magazines were the magazines that was $6.99. You know what I'm saying? I used to collect comic books, so I didn't have a problem paying. And it came out once a month. It wasn't like it came out every other week. You know what I'm saying? I believe it came out once a month. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe every 2 weeks, but I believe Source came out once a month. So $6 for a magazine once a month, that's less than 25 cents a day. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think people don't look at it from that point of view. They look at things buying stuff all up at once. Like, they buying like 20 books at one time. Like, no, you buy once a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that big of a deal. You can save $1 a day and you probably could buy 10 of the books and then sell them for higher prices. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but let's keep going.
All right, I'm just gonna be honest, but at the same time, it began to be where, okay, Source seems they're not doing it like they used to, because XXL has all of the extra shit. Double XL was bringing you the drama. And Source started to try to imitate that. And then we got shows starting to imitate that. We started to get Rap City is trying to be realer than Yo MTV Raps. And it just became who had the most drama. Right? It just became who had the most going on. The channels themselves, BET started to try to have more drama than MTV. We're realer. Right? And that translated to the internet. But for a time, you actually had to have some real interviews. You actually had.
Oh, you totally forgot about the Source Awards. Ooh, the Source Awards was a whole nother ball game, bro. I believe the Source Awards was when Biggie, well, not Biggie, was where Puff and what's the name had a problem. Dancing like niggas dancing in your videos, come to death row. I'm saying, like, I wasn't talking about Puff. Yes, you was, nigga. Yes, you was. How you gonna say you wasn't talking about Puff? He the only one dancing in the video, and then Puff came out dancing. I believe that was the Source Awards. I'm not sure. I think it was. Or the BET Awards. One of them ratchet awards, but there was ratchet. One of them.
Sit down with some real artists. Because that's what we really wanted. When we peel back the layers, yes, the drama was good, but we really wanted to know what Nas really, really thought. If you can pin Nas down and get a real good interview out of him, right? We wanted these interviews. We wanted to hear what Master P had to say, right? And it became, okay, we got a little bit of real life conversation from artists and these new moguls, but you still had the drama. You had 50 Cent, got shot 9 times, and now whenever he can speak on Ja Rule, he's there. Right? We started to see a whole different thing going on. Even on the radio, they started to have freestyles, and these guys will come up to the radio, and while they're live on the radio, they would shout out or call out somebody else. And it became, okay, let me see if I can get down to that radio fast enough and catch you there. Or like when Biggie went on the radio and said, yo, Snoop and Dogg Pound are here in New York filming a music video calling New York out. Y'all gonna let them do that? And they went down to that video shoot and shot it up. Right?
Bro, like, why? But why, though? Like, why? Like, bro, my thing is like, I'm just saying, bro. I know people said that happened, that they shot up the trailer. Listen, I'm from I never seen it. I just heard about it. I heard about it. Said, oh, it's some Mobb Deep niggas. Oh, it's Mobb Deep that did it. Oh, man, these wouldn't shut up the trailer. You know what I'm saying? Like, my thing is, like, who did that? And who shot up the trailer? You get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes they say these stories, but it is what it is. But let me just stop cutting him off, because that ain't nothing to do with it. I'm just saying, but that was just, I don't know why they would do that.
You had a mix of both. But what we didn't understand was drama was starting to become live and direct, right? Lil' Kim had a whole bang bang down at Hot 97, and they stopped the interviews altogether, if I'm not mistaken, right? So hip-hop, the streets became a little too real. And the internet, when we started to figure out how to use the internet, we started to realize early, let's just be honest, that yeah, those Vlad TV interviews early, he was getting a lot of good footage, a lot of interviews. The interviews were popping, but they also got a little crazy when Joe Budden, right? Joe Budden TV, and Joe Budden went and beat up, what's this guy? He was beefing with the other rapper. I can't remember his name offhand. And he went with his camera, and I think they caught his friend. They didn't catch him. They caught his friend when he opened the door, and they filmed it, beat him up.
That's not what happened. So, it was actually Ransom, Vlad, and they went to one of Joe Budden's friends, I think cousin or uncle's house. And when the dude, they was looking for Joe, I don't think they was looking for Joe. They was looking for somebody else. I can't remember exactly what the person's name was. When he opened the door, I believe it was either Ransom or one of Ransom boys. I can't remember offhand. Slapped him. They didn't beat him up. He slapped him. And Vlad had it on camera. And then what happened was Joe Buttons found out about it, and he went to wherever whoever was at, and they beat the boy up. You know what I'm saying? And then Joe went on TV when saying he went on the TV. He went on some talk show, and he was talking about it. And he said that I remember what Joe said specifically. He said, if somebody's child end up dead, then it's not gonna be funny no more. He said you can't be going around slapping people's family. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody's child end up in the casket, then it's, and Joe said that, and then I believe him and Ransom squashed the beef after that a little bit later. But that was it. That was it. Joe and Joe had it on camera. He went to the bull's block and he did something to the bull or whatever. He jumped him or whatever, fought the bull, something like that. That's actually what happened.
I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me. They beat up somebody, and they posted it online. I believe it was to Joe Budden TV, and I think that became.
No, it wasn't to Joe Budden TV. Joe Budden TV was Joe Budden's his show. Joe Buttons is probably the pioneer of the internet because him and cannabis. But Joe Buttons is one of the first artists to ever use the internet as a promotional tool. Artists used to clown artists for using the internet. They used to call them internet rappers. They used to clown people. They clowned Joe Buttons. They said he had internet soldiers. All of them. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody was so fascinated with the radio still. Joe Buttons went with the internet. And he was dropping songs, freestyles on YouTube and all that. Dropping songs on YouTube. And people was like, oh, this is crazy. And I think that's what pushed him to where he's at. I think Joe is definitely a pioneer of that whole space. Like that's just 100% fact. So no, it wasn't on Joe Budden TV. That was on Vlad TV and Joe Budden TV, and Vlad TV was like the first to go back and forth.
More infamous for Joe Budden than all of his rapping combined. He became an internet celebrity. And from that moment on, everything about Joe Budden was all about what was happening in real time. It wasn't even about his music. And a lot of us love mood music. And the first Joe Budden album, which is like, let's just be honest, he was just, I like pain music. So if Joe Budden's first album was a pained out, drugged out, just depressed young man that just.
Nah, that wasn't his first album. His first album wasn't like that. His first album wasn't that. He didn't start rapping. He didn't start rapping because if you listen to his first album, it was fire. It was Pump It Up. It was 10 Minutes. It was Come and Take a Walk with Me. It was Get Down. He didn't really have a lot of depressing songs on that first album. Most of that first album was up tempo. The depressing stuff didn't come in until Mood Music. That's when it came in. Mood Music 2, not necessarily 1, but 2, 3, and 4. I would say 2, 3. And probably his most depressing album is Escape Route. That's probably his most depressing album, if you think about it. But no, the first album wasn't like that. Not in my opinion, it wasn't like that at all.
Was inside his own head, and he had a lot of emotions to get out. Okay, and people like us that like that pain music, we like Joe Budden's first album. But Joe Budden didn't sell them records from that first album. Joe Budden became an internet star by having.
Well, actually, that's not true either, because Joe Budden's actually got a Grammy off of his first album, I believe, and he also went gold. I believe Pump It Up is certified platinum. And I believe he went gold. I believe his album did go gold. I'm not sure if his album went gold, but I know that Pump It Up is a certified platinum. That's definitely, it's still going on to this day. I think Joe Buttons was infamous for both. I think people did like Joe Budden's music. But when he dropped his first album, that was before he was really getting into the internet like that. The internet didn't start till later for Joe Budden. His first album was much more it was much more than what Charles is saying right here. It was much more than that. You know what I mean? Because those songs was hits. You know what I mean? Fire was a hit. Pump It Up was a hit. So I get what he's saying, but at the same time, it's not actually accurate because he did do he once he got out of his first album, that's when he started doing all that. That happened after his first album. All this stuff happened after his first album.
Online. So it's no surprise that I want to say, what is that? 20 years later, Joe Budden still goes viral for having drama online to this day. You kids don't know Joe Budden, the rapper. You just know Joe Budden for the internet antics, but it's been a long time coming. So once people like Vlad started to realize, wait a minute, if I can get these people to say these things on camera, whether it's a fight or not, if I can just get them to diss each other or just get a good interview that's going to get traction, it's all about going viral. And that's where we at now. It's all about getting that viral moment, that viral, that.
Well, that doesn't necessarily come from Vlad either. This actually came from Star and Buck Wild, because I believe Vlad used to work for Star. I'm not sure about that. I think he did. I think Vlad used to work for him. And that's where all this came from, Star and Buck Wild. Star don't care. If you follow Star on YouTube, he's a savage. He don't care. But yeah, Star definitely is one of those guys. Definitely one of those guys. I think that I understand what he's saying about Vlad though. I think that Vlad definitely put people in the seat, and he don't really necessarily. Vlad is, and I hate to say this, Vlad is a very good interviewer, but the problem is people don't know how to answer his questions the proper way. I think they fall into his questions because they feel like they don't have any media training, and they don't know how to answer questions without sounding like they are trying to indict themselves. But let's keep it going.
That sound bite. So now we're fighting each other for these sound bites. Hip hop media, we can't just rely on getting a good Doechii interview, right? And let's just be honest, some of the biggest artists in the game don't want to interview with you in the first place. These artists, they only sitting down with certain people. And I know the complaints, a lot of these artists, they not even sitting down with hip hop media at all. Nobody on that list could get some of these artists, but they'll go.
The reason why, and I'll explain it, is because hip hop media is toxic. A lot of hip hop media do things without. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it was who was it? Rob Martin, I think that was it. He did an interview with Kendrick, and his interview was amazing with Kendrick. So he's probably one of those ones. But for the most part nowadays, like he said, people chop up clips and they want controversy. Hip hop media wants controversy. Kendrick Lamar, although Kendrick Lamar is not controversial and he doesn't have any controversies, people look at him and Kendrick as controversial. So if Kendrick Lamar was to do a video with me today, people are going to watch the video because they're going to want to see if he's going to say something about Drake. I think that the reason why a lot of artists don't do hip hop media is because they're trying to broaden their horizons, because they already know that hip hop media already got them. So what's the point of me doing an interview with this hip hop media person when I already know that they already got people that listen to me already? I might as well do a interview with this magazine where nobody knows me, and I'm trying to get that crowd over there. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion.
Lay up with, what's her name? What's the girl from that TikTok girl that Drake got in the bed with? Right? That's now she's black all of a sudden, right? Lost her whole family. They'll go lay down with her and have.
She what? She lost her family. What are you talking about? I don't know about that, but she was at the Not Like Us music video. I think she came there with Your boy. Was it I can remember his name. He was there with him.
A whole conversation. But
YG.
they won't sit down with hip hop so-called media. And I say all that to say this. We have gotten to a point where you can become the king of this thing just for being able to get the algorithm to go to your page. So I want to say last week, the kings of hip hop media, they called themselves the kings of hip hop media. I believe it was DJ Vlad, Trap Lord Ross, Whack 100 for some weird ass reason, Adam 22. Who else was in that thing?
Vlad.
Damn, I can't remember who else was in that. It was like 2 or 3 other people. Then they were calling themselves the kings of hip hop media. They did a 3.5 hour podcast, and they spent most of the time talking about Big U, the Rico case, and a bunch of gang stuff. Right? And you know what's crazy about that? Sadly, that's where hip hop media low key is at. Hip hop is ended up.
All right, so all right. How do I feel about that? Do I think he's right about that? I think he's semi-right about that. But I'm gonna tell y'all why. That's our fault. And the reason why is because, see, we don't build a coalition. Now, I take that back. We do have a coalition. Company Man has a little coalition with a bunch of, not little, I don't mean to disrespect y'all, I'm sorry. Has a coalition with, I believe, D.I. Wired, what's the other bull? Big Kiss. He had Jalopy on there one time. He had Moni on there one time. He had Professor, what's the professor? Yeah, Anthony Fantano. I think that there is a coalition, and I would say that would be the Avengers, and then or that would be the Justice League, if you will, and then you have the rest of them, and that would be the Injustice League. The Injustice League would be the people you just named. You know what I'm saying? That would be Trap Lord Ross. That would be what's his name? Vlad, DJ Academics, Whack 100, Adam 22, and whoever else the other guy was in the back, right? That would be the Injustice League. So, but the thing is, the Injustice League are controversial, and people love controversy. And this is the reason why that portion of the hip hop media gets more burn. Now, they get more burn when it comes to straight up people watching them right away. But the legacy dudes have more viewership than them, and they have more subscribers. So Anthony Fantano has, I believe, 2 million subscribers. Academics don't even have 1 million subscribers. You know what I'm saying? Then you have the Company Man. I believe he has almost I don't think he has 1 million, but I think he has over 300,000 or something like that. And then you have a bunch of other ones on there. Screwface Gene he's in the millions. He has 1 million. Then you have the bull No Life Shack. I believe he has the most. I believe he's like 4 million or something like that. Like he has the most or something like that. But still in all, the point I'm making is a lot of people go to those dudes because they're pushing a narrative against Kendrick, and they want to see what they had to say. All of them except for Whack 100. The other guys on the other side, they're not pushing a narrative. They're actually speaking the truth, or somewhat what they would be considered the truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they would do. The point I'm making is people run to that side because it's controversial. That's why they run over there to them.
Itself, a lot of hip hop creators spent the last couple days talking about Scooter being murdered, or talking about, who was it that just got, I think it was Say So P and Sauce Walker, and of course more Drake, and of course more Kendrick. No one's breaking new artists. No one's really sitting down with bigger artists. The thing about this thing is, You guys would rather listen to Charleston White. You would rather listen to Charleston White. We've become a society, and
Well, all right. So let me speak on that. Charleston White is a very controversial figure. And the reason why people want to listen to Charleston White is because he's controversial. This is what I think that people got to understand. To you, somebody might not be speaking the truth, but to somebody speaking the truth. That's just what it is. I think a lot of us, we don't like Charleston White, but for some people, he's telling the truth. They feel as though he's telling the truth. So you're going to get people who want to gravitate towards that to see how outrageous Charleston White is, or what the most outrageous thing he can say and what would get under their skin. Because people want to hear the most egregious thing that they can, because they look at it like, well, maybe I could be the one to say something that will change people's mind about this. So, for example, Charleston White says, oh, all of these people, blah, 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 you can get on the comments and be like, nah, because I look at it this way and see, doesn't everybody agree with you? See, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times people want to fight the good fight against people like Charleston White. That's the reason why he's where he's at today. It's not the fact that people just want to listen to Charleston White because they have to, but I think that this is a battle that most people feel as they're in. This is a social war. A lot of people feel like they're in the social war and they have to compete or go against these people. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, you got to take in consideration that's the reason why. People just don't automatically go, because everybody has some controversy with them. Everybody does. Everybody. And everybody's not going to agree. And it's the same thing. When you say y'all would rather listen to Charleston White, it's the same thing as if you was to go to Kai Cenat and I would say, how could y'all want to listen to this guy? He doesn't know nothing. He don't say nothing. I'm saying all this and y'all want to listen to him because people like what they like. That's just how I look at it.
I am going to say the hip hop media is driven by the fans. It's driven by the fans. And I'm sure there is a channel out there, there's a dozen or more channels doing great work, doing what No Jumper used to do, finding new talent, interviewing them, and doing the Lord's work in hip hop.
All right, so I'm gonna play a little bit more, then I'm gonna end this. And y'all can watch the rest because this is a pretty lengthy video. Another thing too about what he just said is you got to understand, times change, people change, minds change. So when you say stuff like, well, these used to be good and they used to have these up and coming artists, people don't want to hear from up and coming artists now. People want to hear about Kendrick and Drake. 2 years from now, they might not want to hear about Kendrick and Drake. They might want to hear about up and coming artists. That's just how it is. And I had to understand that. You know what I mean? Because I used to do, the reason why my channel wasn't moving at a certain point is because I was actually just doing stuff that people didn't want to hear. I'm just being honest. People didn't want to hear about some of these albums I was reviewing. They didn't care. I'll get like 3 views. Nobody cared about that. You know what I'm saying? So, and don't get me wrong, you got fans and you got people who will actually say you should constantly do what it is. Don't go do this now. But if you are a hip hop media personality, or if you are a media personality, or if you are a talking head or a commentator, you gotta move where the stories are at. Unless you won't get nobody to watch you. What's the point of you doing stuff if nobody's watching it? That's the point. So a lot of people, they're gonna say what they gotta say to get people to watch them. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the people like Charleston White. They're gonna say what they gotta say, and they're gonna be as to you, maybe not to other people, but to you, they're gonna be as egregious as possible because they want people to watch them. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is too that they want people to watch them. That's all I'm gonna say. So I get what he's saying, but he also got to understand time. You have to elevate with the times. If you don't, you're going to get left behind. It's the same thing with music. If you are sitting here if you're just doing regular music and nobody's listening to you and everybody else is doing or going this way, not to say you got to be like people, but if you're doing stuff that nobody's listening to, you got to elevate your game. Maybe you got to try something different. You don't have to be like everybody else, but you got to do something that's going to push you up. What's the point of you doing it if you ain't getting pushed up? So, but yeah, I'm gonna end it there because this is gonna be too long, and I don't want to be too that long. You know what I'm saying? It's almost an hour, and it's gonna be a long video. Let me see, how much of the time is that? Yeah, this is almost an hour. Nah, I'm good. Yeah, so that was a really good joint. If y'all want to watch the whole thing, it's about 40 minutes long. Go check him out, man. I'm gonna tag him in this joint. I like his content. I think that what he's doing is actually amazing, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. He does things from wherever he's in his car, maybe he's on his lunch break. That's amazing to me. Now, I've been trying to tell other people to do the same thing. If you got time to do content, then do the content from your car. If you ain't got time at home, you ain't got time to do the content, do it, but stay consistent, and you will be successful. There's some people, he got more subscribers than I do. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a whole studio. Like, for real. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You just got to stay consistent. But I love that episode. That was pretty decent. I'm gonna watch the rest of it, but I just wanted to watch a piece of that with y'all. And then I don't know, maybe if I see something that I truly gravitate towards, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do a part 2 to this. But yeah, this was a good one. All right, man. Okay, ladies, I got a question for y'all. This is a funny one. If you was dating a guy, right? He had a house, he had a car, and he had a good job. But you found out that all his Jordans was fake, and he had 10 pairs, and they all was fake Jordans. Would you stop dating the guy? Or would you tell him he should buy new Jordans or real Jordans? What would you do in that situation if you found out all the Jordans was fake? You know what I'm saying? How would you feel about that? Or sneakers don't matter to you. But anyway, some people it does. All right, man. Thank y'all for being here with me. I appreciate y'all. See y'all. Peace. Bye.